Hey guys, this is Tim. In today's video we're going to be talking about the job market and today's economy and what has changed and why that's affecting how you're able to get a job now. Let me just recap in case you haven't seen any previous videos. I started my career in about 2007, so every job I've landed has been in a bad economy. There's been a lot of people, I've seen their videos, I've seen their books, I've seen their information that they've been in the job market for 20, 30 years, and they're giving you information about how to get a job, but it's not current or relevant because they haven't done it in the last 25 years. I've landed 8 different jobs at 8 different companies in the last 6 years. Now, let me cover why that is. I don't get fired at jobs a lot. I do explain this actually in my ebook, but I talk about job leapfrog, how to get a job and find a better job while you're already hired, how to move from job to job while increasing your income and increasing your quality of life. In a couple cases I moved cities, and so I needed to get a new job there as well, which the good news is my system does work. Okay, but let's talk about today's job market. What happened in 2008 was a very simple problem, but a lot of people are just kind of frame it together as the economy collapsed. What does it actually mean? What happened in 2008 was there was a housing bubble. A housing bubble is when there are a lot of developers building houses. There's a lot of mortgage companies giving home loans on homes to people who don't really have the income to support them. And a lot of those were homes where people were buying a second or third home to actually rent out to other people. Now what happened was those mortgages, many of those mortgages were given to people who could not really afford them because of a lot of different things, but they were called predatory loans, a lot of different stuff I don't need to explain now. But the long and short of it is loans were given to people who couldn't afford them. They couldn't pay it. So it's like getting a car and the car payment is $1,000 a month, but you only make $800, so there's no way you can pay it. So many homes went into foreclosure because of that market began to collapse. When that market collapsed, every other market was based on some way in that restaurant industry, car industry, obviously the developing real estate industry. Those are major industries, and when those collapse, a lot of jobs go away and a lot of the economy burst. Another important thing is that when these mortgages were being issued, $13 trillion of money was printed at the US Mint, distributed into the economy to help fund the amount of money that was being transacted between these mortgages, because that money has to be in society. So that was another huge thing that caused some inflation, so that when that housing market went down and all those mortgages went away, there was a huge amount of inflation. So there's a lot of problems, okay? So those are some of the basic problems. Now how does that translate into, okay, great, Tim, that all happened, but now what does that mean for me getting a job? Well, let's talk about this. When that stuff happened, it's really important to know that businesses used to think one way before 2008, and now they think another way. The business before 2008 was very centered around create jobs, create more opportunity. Spending wasn't cut and spending wasn't watched as closely. So you may have a company retreat and they may spend 10 grand on a speaker. After 2008, not only are they canceling company retreats, but they're looking at speakers. There's unexpected waste, unexpected costs. So that's an entire industry that declines. So you kind of get the idea, okay? So businesses before 2008 were thinking spend money, build the economy, we're going to be fine, everything's okay. And businesses after 2008 are thinking cut spending, get rid of jobs, etc. Now think about it. If you're a company, what's the #1 biggest expense that you have to pay out every month? It's payroll. It's paying your employees, okay? If your company brings in $1 million a month and the economy hits and all of a sudden your industry is starting to collapse or is going downhill, whatever, and you only make $250,000 a month as a company now, well, the #1 thing you're going to get rid of is payroll. You're going to have to cut employees, okay? And that's what happened. Now, let me kind of cover a few of those things. That doesn't mean that every job disappeared. A lot of people kept their jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs. What did happen is companies that were not structured very well or that were wasting a lot of money disappeared because they could no longer afford to stay in business. Now, what does that mean for the job market for today? Okay? What I want you to understand is that the job market doesn't change that much. It doesn't actually go from there's 100,000 jobs to 50,000 jobs. What happens is it goes from 100,000 jobs to 90,000 jobs, and 10,000 of those jobs completely change industries. Everything changes because businesses change and they adapt, okay? Before 2008, there was a lot of positions in admin. You had more secretarial positions. You had more in-house things like law firm, law services, payroll services, those kind of things. Now that stuff is being outsourced. A lot of outsourcing has happened since 2008 because companies found that it's cheaper and it's easier for them to outsource things out of the country or to other companies, which has made some companies boom. So you have a company like LegalZoom.com that's popped up on the scene that offers legal services that can now be afforded by smaller companies that didn't used to that didn't used to matter. Okay, so let me give you those ideas. Now let's talk about the good news. The U.S. Bureau of Labor said that just since January of 2012, 1.1 million jobs have been added to the economy. Okay, that's not jobs that are waiting to be filled. That's 1.1 million officially payrolled positions that have been reported to the IRS. Okay. Now, let me explain that. If you think about the U.S. and there being 50 states, how many jobs is that per state? A lot. Jobs are adding in a large amount, but you got to know where to look. Okay, that's one of the biggest things that we're going to talk about here in these necessities is where do you actually look? What industries, what jobs, and what qualifications do you have that help you match those jobs? Okay. Now, we're going to talk a lot about that in my ebook. If you look at the link below, thecareertutors.com, go ahead to that link. I have an ebook on there called How to Get Hired in 11 Days. What I do is I explain in detail not only the economy, but I go through my entire history of what I did to get these jobs, all of them, and very quickly, and how I thought through that process. So go take a look at that. I also explain in more detail a lot of the changes in business, and you can look and see for your specific industry how that may have changed and what you can do about it. Okay. Also stay tuned. I keep talking about those necessities. I have developed 11 necessities required for landing a job in today's economy, and I'm going to actually go through those here in the next few videos. We're going to start going through those necessities where I explain to you the secrets that I've learned that will help you get a job and get one fast. And lastly, I want you to remember that you're closer to getting hired than you think.